Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go with the MLB games scheduled for Sunday, August 11th, 2024. And if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Sunday in Major League Baseball. First up, the Roku game between the Angels and the Nationals. No official starter for the Halos, but Mackenzie Gore should be going for Washington. I'll lean towards the Angels right now. We'll see who that official starter is, but the Angels are slowly improving its left-handed pitching. Gore's not in great form. He's not really pitching deep into ball games, giving up a lot of sharp contact, a lot of base hits. He's given up 8+ hits in his last 3 starts, even though he didn't pitch 6+ innings in any of those games. And 4 home runs his last 3 games combined. The strikeout numbers are inconsistent. I think the Angels get to him for a few runs early. Don't love this Angels bullpen, but I also don't really love the Nationals bullpen. So I'm going to go with the Angels in this game on the money line. Next up, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the New York Yankees. Andrew Heaney and Marcus Stroman are your starters. Of course, Andrew Heaney, a former Yankee. And this is a tough one, probably one of my least favorite games on the board, but I do think the Yankees will prevail. When you look at this matchup, Stroman's not in great form. Obviously, 10 earned runs his last 2 starts, which is his last 6 innings of work. His ERA is now above 4. Andrew Heaney had a nice bounce-back start in his last game against the Astros. He only gave up 1 base hit, but he also was struggling before that game, giving up 10 earned runs the previous 2 starts. And for me, if these starting pitchers kind of cancel each other out early in the game, while the Yankees bullpen had some issues in the doubleheader on Saturday, I still think it's a good bullpen overall. I think the Yankees have the better lineup in this game, in this series, and I'll trust New York here to lay the 1.5 runs on the run line, but like I said, not my favorite game on the board. Next up, the Houston Astros taking on the Boston Red Sox. Hunter Brown and James Paxton are your starters. Now, I do like the Astros to win this game, and I like what I've seen from Hunter Brown overall since his first really tough month of the year, but I will say, in his most recent games, I'd say his last 4 starts, even though the numbers are still solid, I watched a good amount of Hunter Brown, and he just doesn't look as effective, or as dominant, I should say, as he was the previous 5 or 10 starts. And I could see him struggling a little bit in this game. At Fenway Park, really tough lineup and a really tough place to pitch. The Red Sox have had great numbers against right-handed pitching in the last month, pretty much overall this season. So I don't think it's going to be a clean outing for Hunter Brown, but I think the Astros get to James Paxton to back him up. And then if it's a bullpen game the rest of the way, I do trust the Astros bullpen more in the end. So I'm going to lean towards the Astros and the over in this Astros-Red Sox ball game. Next up, the Oakland Athletics taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. J.P. Sears and Chris Bassett are the projected starters. Bassett had a solid outing in that last game against the Orioles. It was kind of a surprise. He was back-to-back starts against Baltimore. He struggled the previous outing, giving up 5 earned runs, but he in this most recent game, he went 7 innings, a 2-run ball, 9 strikeouts in a 5-2 Blue Jays win. He's been rather inconsistent recently. He's given up a lot of home runs recently. For me, I think Sears is also, great form on the other side. His last 2 starts, 14 innings, a 1-run ball, 14 strikeouts to go with it. I think the Oakland, we saw a 1-0 final score, a pretty boring game on Saturday between these 2 teams. I think this is going to be a close one yet again on Sunday. I think we'll see a little bit more offense, but I do think the Oakland A's have the better offense in the end. When you look at the Blue Jays against left-handed pitching, not great numbers in the last month. When you look at the bullpens, I do think Oakland has the slight advantage there as well. I'm going to go with the Oakland Athletics in this game on the money line at a solid price. Next up, the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. We're going to see Albert Suarez and Jeffrey Springs as your starters. Jeffrey Springs has not been great in his first 2 starts at the major league level this year. He pitched well in the rehab starts, but when you look at the Orioles, they've not been great against left-handed pitching in the last 30 days. And Suarez, the Orioles are 1-4 in his last 5 starts. I think this is a good spot, a bounce-back spot for Springs. I think, especially Tropicana Field, he puts together his best outing so far. I think the Rays can get to Suarez for a few runs, even though they have not been great offensively recently. I still think that Suarez is one of the weaker links in this Orioles pitching staff. So I'm going to go with the Rays in this one on the money line at Tropicana Field. Next up, the San Diego Padres taking on the Miami Marlins. We're going to see Dylan Cease and Max Meyer as your starters. Dylan Cease, even the last game he threw a shutout. It was only 1 inning of work, 2 strikeouts because of the rain delay against Pittsburgh, but he's in great form. He's given up 1 run in his last 4 starts. You can include the Pirates game if you want, make it 5 starts, but I think he pitches really well in this game. The Marlins have not been great offensively. They did put up a fight, though, on Saturday. They had a nice day offensively, but I think Cease continues to pitch well, continues to win ball games for San Diego and cover run lines as well. And Meyer got crushed in that last game. He's given up 10 earned runs his last 2 starts, Give me San Diego laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Minnesota Twins. Tanner Bybee and David Festa are your starters. David Festa may have a 5.5 ERA on paper, but he's been really sharp recently. His last couple of games, 10 innings of work, 2 earned runs, and 15 strikeouts. You go back the last 3 games, he's only given up 3 earned runs combined. Strikeout numbers are there, and while the Guardians are a tough team to strike out, they've been striking out a little bit more recently than usual. And I think David Festa puts together a strong outing. Bybee's pitched well against Minnesota this year, but recently, when you look at Bybee's last 3 starts, all those games, less than a strikeout per inning, a little bit concerning for me. I think Minnesota can get to him for a few runs. They've been solid against right-handed pitching. This Twins bullpen's improved. I'm going to go with Minnesota Twins on this one on the money line. Next up, we'll go to Coors Field as the Braves take on the Rockies. Spencer Schwellenbach and Kyle Freeland are your starters. Originally, Schwellenbach was supposed to go at the beginning of this series, and we mentioned, he's been pitching really well, but any young pitcher making their Coors Field debut is a tough spot to be in, and I think this, definitely is the case here. And Kyle Freeland's been pitching so well for the Rockies since the All-Star break. His last game wasn't his best, but he still was good enough for the Rockies to go on to win that game. The Rockies have won 4 of his last 5 starts. And the last game was against the Mets, who were playing great baseball going into that game. I think Freeland puts together a strong outing. I don't really trust this Braves lineup. I mean, it's been so inconsistent in the last month plus. I think the Rockies can get to Schwellenbach. Don't love this Rockies bullpen, but I think it's going to be good enough in the end. So give me the Rockies on the money line at Coors Field. Next up, the Detroit Tigers taking on the San Francisco Giants. Kiter Montero and Hayden Birdsong are the starters. Birdsong didn't pitch too well in that last game, but he returns to Oracle Park, where he's pitched really well so far this year with a sub-3 ERA. I think he puts together a bounce-back start. I still think he's a really good option in this Giants rotation. Montero, on the flip side, was struggling, but actually pitched well in that last game against Seattle. But we know the Mariners have been one of the weakest lineups in baseball recently, and really the last couple of months. He was able to put together a 6-inning, 1-run, 8-strikeout performance, but I think the Giants can get to him for a few runs. I think it's going to be a lower-scoring game, but I like the Giants to win this game and cover the run line like they did on Saturday. Give me San Francisco laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Christopher Sanchez for Philadelphia, no official starter for the D-backs. The Diamondbacks bullpen was a concern, but in the last month, it's got a 3.53 ERA and a 3.88 xFIP, which is right at league average, 15th ranked in baseball. So it is improving. It is improving the last 30 days. And, Sanchez has not fared too well at Chase Field in his young career. He had one game where he wasn't able to get out of the first inning, giving up 5 earned runs. And I think the Diamondbacks, while they weren't able to get to him the first time around at Citizens Bank Park, there's still a team that's hitting lefties very well this season, including the last 30 days. I like the Diamondbacks in this game on the money line at Chase Field. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Bailey Falter and Tyler Glasnow are your starters. We see the Dodgers as a very big favorite in this game. There's not really a lot of value in this one, but I think it's for good reason. I do think that this is a lopsided pitching matchup in favor of LA. Their offense starting to turn it on now. Getting Freddie Freeman back in the lineup certainly helps that. And, Bailey Falter, while he's pitched well with a sub-4 ERA on the season, he hasn't been great on the road, and he also has, big-time regression concerns when you look at the expected numbers. His strikeout numbers are, pretty weak, only 65 Ks in 97 innings. So give me the Dodgers in this one on the run line, laying 1.5 and potentially 2.5 runs. Next up, the New York Mets taking on the Seattle Mariners. Luis Severino and Luis Castillo on the mound, and this one's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Now, I've faded the Mets quite a few times recently in the last couple of weeks, and it's not that I don't like the Mets. I think they have a great lineup. Their bullpen's really improved. I just really worry about that rotation. It's why I don't really consider them a serious playoff contender or, a World Series contender, because that rotation, a lot of guys with pretty steep expected numbers, guys that I really worry about regression-wise. Severino's one of them, Quintana, even Minaya, and David Peterson as well. So that's why I haven't been too keen on the Mets recently, and it's why I don't love them in this spot, especially you add into the fact that this brutal road trip that they've been on. Luis Castillo's in great form. He's given up 3 earned runs or fewer his last 5 starts. Severino's not in great form. He's given up 10 earned runs and 3 bombs in his last 2 games, and both of those were losses by 6-3 and 8-3 final scores for the Mets. I'm going to roll with the Mariners in this game on the money line. I think it's going to be probably a lower scoring game, but give me Seattle on the money line at T-Mobile Park. And that's it. Those are the games for Sunday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those baseball picks in the comments section below. And again, if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.